We've seen the markets rise and fall on optimism or lack of optimism on a vaccine. How important is not only the development of a vaccine, but also the mass deployment of a coronavirus vaccine?
I don't think you can overemphasize how important it is. I'm reading a book right now on the Apollo space program, and the relevance that has to our current situation is none of the scientists wanted to do a manned moonshot. They thought it was too expensive for the scientific benefit. Similarly, right now, I think if you were to poll Dr. Fauci, some of the other medical professionals, they would say it's a little early for us to be reopening the US economy. Our infection rates are down about 30% from the peak. But if you look at our friends in Europe who are also reopening, their infection rates are down more like 85, 90%. That means as we reopen, the US is much more at risk of a secondary spike in infection. And what the markets are betting on every time we push through overhead resistance, every time we buy the dip, is that by the time that secondary spike in infection occurs, we're going to be so close to having a vaccine that the market will look through it and won't mind. It's a reasonable bet, but we need to recognize that's the bet we're making. So when there's good news, as there was on Monday with Moderna, we're going to rally. When there's bad news about a spike in infection, as there was yesterday, we're going to come under pressure. I think we could be stuck in a trading range on the S&P between 2,750 and 3,000 until we get definitive phase 2 clinical results out of some of these vaccines.
And now President Trump saying yesterday that if there were a second wave, that he would not shut down the country. Is that what the market wants to hear, or does that show that he doesn't take it seriously? What is the market reaction to something like that?
I think the market reaction, it just doubles down on the vaccine bet. Because if the president is not going to shut down the country, that will not stop the governor of New York or California and New Jersey from going ahead and shutting down their states if they feel like they need to. But it does mean that large swathes of the sort of the red part of America, they'll probably stay open without presidential leadership. And that means that the spike will go on longer. It will expand further. And that means that we will be betting that a vaccine will be ready. I'm going to say again, I think that is a pretty good bet. You've got about 3 very high probability vaccines in development. You've got the largest vaccine manufacturer in India already gearing up to manufacture. This is a big risk on their part because if the vaccines don't pan out, they'll have invested all that capital for nothing. But they're making that bet because they recognize that it's not enough to develop the vaccine. It's got to be deployed at scale. And all the manufacturers are making a bet to get ready to do just that. So it's a good bet, but we need to recognize that is the bet that markets and investors are making.
All right. Michael Jones, Chairman and CEO at Caravel Concepts, LLC. Great to have you on this morning.